We often equate intelligence with high grades, a massive store of trivia, or the ability to solve a Rubik's Cube in seconds. However, cognitive psychology suggests that true mental sharpness is something much more subtle and profound than mere rote memorization. It is not just about what you know, but more importantly, how your brain processes the raw data of reality as it unfolds. Exceptionally sharp minds possess a rare set of traits that allow them to see patterns where others see chaos, and logic where others feel confusion. They navigate complex problems with a surgical precision that feels almost instinctive, yet it is rooted in deep-seated cognitive architecture. These individuals often feel like outsiders because they view the world through a different lens, often questioning the very foundations of shared social belief. You might already possess these traits without even realizing their psychological significance or the high-level cognitive potential they represent. In this video, we are breaking down the 5 rare traits of an exceptionally sharp mind, moving beyond the surface to the core of cognitive power. We will explore the specific research behind these behaviors and what they mean for your personal and professional life. Recognizing these signs can help you understand your own cognitive strengths and the unique way you interact with the world around you. By the end of this discussion, you may find that your perceived quirks are actually symptoms of a highly tuned mental engine. Let's dive into the psychology of the exceptionally sharp mind and see how many of these traits resonate with your own experience. To understand the traits of a sharp mind, we must first look at the biological hardware that powers them. Exceptional mental sharpness begins with a biological phenomenon known in neuroscience as neural efficiency. Psychology shows that sharp minds actually use less brain energy to solve complex tasks than those with average cognitive scores. Instead of firing neurons in a chaotic, widespread fashion, their brains activate only the most relevant, high-speed pathways to reach a conclusion. Cognitive psychology calls this superior sensory gating, which is the innate ability to filter out environmental noise and focus on the signal. While most people are easily overwhelmed by the flood of stimuli in a modern environment, sharp minds instinctively ignore the irrelevant data points. This biological advantage allows for incredibly rapid information synthesis and a heightened capacity for real-time decision-making under pressure. The real-life consequence of this efficiency is a profound ability to stay calm and analytical when others around them are panicking. They don't just think faster, they think with much less friction, avoiding the mental drag that slows down more conventional thinkers. Research suggests this trait is partly genetic, but it is largely maintained through rigorous habits of deep focus and intellectual challenge. This baseline neural efficiency serves as the foundation for the rare behaviors and personality traits we are about to examine. When the brain operates with this level of clarity, it naturally produces the 5 traits that define an exceptionally sharp mind. 1. The first rare trait of an exceptionally sharp mind is a habitual practice known as strategic nonconformity. While most people rely heavily on social proof to guide their actions and beliefs, sharp individuals consistently prioritize logic over consensus. Psychology shows that they are significantly less susceptible to the bandwagon effect, where individuals adopt behaviors simply because others are doing so. They often employ what is called first principles thinking, a method where you deconstruct a problem down to its most basic, undeniable truths. Instead of accepting a process with the excuse, "That's just how it's always been done," they ask why the system was created in the first place. Cognitive psychology refers to this as having a low need for cognitive closure, which allows them to stay in a state of skepticism longer than average. This psychological distance from the group allows them to identify highly innovative solutions that others overlook due to their own traditional biases. In a real-life work or social setting, this can sometimes make them seem argumentative, difficult to manage, or even contrarian for the sake of it. However, their resistance to consensus is exactly what prevents catastrophic groupthink errors in high-stakes environments. They value objective truth over the comfort of belonging, even if it means standing completely alone in their assessment of a situation. This trait is rare because the human brain is evolutionarily wired to seek group approval for survival, making their independence a cognitive anomaly. By bypassing the need for social validation, they keep their mental pathways clear for pure, unadulterated logical processing. Following the concept of nonconformity, we find that sharp minds possess an unusual degree of cognitive independence from their immediate environment. Research suggests that these individuals have a high capacity to separate their logical reasoning from their own intense emotional states. Psychology shows that most people suffer from what is called emotional contagion when they are placed in high-pressure or high-anxiety situations. They tend to mirror the panic and stress of those around them, which immediately clouds their judgment and slows down their cognitive response time. In stark contrast, a truly sharp mind utilizes a psychological protective shield made of objective observation and detached analysis. They view a sudden crisis not as a personal threat to be feared, but as a complex data set that needs to be analyzed and solved. Cognitive psychology identifies this trait as having a high differentiation of self within a social or professional system. The real-life consequence is a remarkable ability to make difficult, life-altering decisions when everyone else is paralyzed by indecision. They remain firmly grounded in their own internal values and logical structures, regardless of the external noise or social pressure they face. This independence ensures that their mental resources are always available for the task at hand, rather than being wasted on emotional management. By maintaining this distance, they can observe the world from a vantage point that is invisible to the average person. This clarity of thought is what allows them to act with such terrifying efficiency when the stakes are at their highest. 2. A second and often overlooked defining trait of an exceptionally sharp mind is something called high emotional granularity. Research suggests that highly intelligent individuals don't just experience broad emotions like feeling bad, angry, or good. Instead, they have the cognitive ability to pinpoint exact nuances, such as distinguishing between frustration, apprehension, melancholy, or ennui. Cognitive psychology calls this verbal linguistic intelligence applied to the inner self, and it is a powerful tool for mental stability. When you are able to label an emotion precisely, you actually reduce the amygdala's physiological arousal, effectively calming the brain's fear center. This biological cooling allows the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic, to remain in total control during stressful events. The real-life consequence of high emotional granularity is superior emotional regulation and a much faster decision-making speed in social conflicts. Sharp minds use their expanded internal vocabulary as a sophisticated tool to master their own impulses and primitive reactions. By understanding exactly what they are feeling and why, they prevent temporary emotions from hijacking their long-term logic. This internal clarity ensures that their responses to the world are calculated and strategic, rather than merely reactive or impulsive. It is a form of self-mastery that allows them to remain consistent and reliable, even when facing significant personal or professional turmoil. In essence, they speak the language of their own mind fluently, which gives them an edge in any situation involving human complexity. 3. The third rare trait is a state that psychology calls paradoxical curiosity. Research suggests an interesting inversion of the Dunning-Kruger effect in exceptionally sharp individuals compared to the general population. While less capable people often overestimate their skills, the highly intelligent are hyper-aware of the vastness of their own ignorance. Psychology shows that the more you truly know about a subject, the more you realize how much is left to learn, creating a sense of intellectual humility. This leads to a targeted and insatiable drive for information that is structured rather than just aimless browsing or entertainment. They don't seek out facts to confirm what they already believe or to satisfy a sense of intellectual vanity. Instead, they actively hunt for data that challenges their existing mental models, enjoying the process of being proven wrong. In real life, this manifests as a constant, restless need to deconstruct how things work, from mechanical engines to social structures. The consequence is a knowledge base that is both incredibly deep and constantly evolving, allowing them to adapt to new information instantly. They are never satisfied with surface-level explanations or simple answers, often feeling frustrated by the common-sense solutions of others. This hunger for depth is what keeps their minds sharp, as they are constantly exercising their neural pathways with fresh, difficult concepts. For them, learning is not a means to an end, but a core psychological need that defines their daily existence. A key differentiator in high-level cognition is how an individual handles unresolved or contradictory information. Psychology calls the innate desire for quick, definitive answers the need for cognitive closure. Most people feel a significant sense of psychological distress and anxiety when faced with prolonged periods of uncertainty. To relieve this internal tension, they often rush to a premature, oversimplified, or even incorrect conclusion just to feel settled. Research suggests that exceptionally sharp minds have a much higher tolerance for ambiguity and intellectual discomfort. They can let a massive problem sit in their mind for days or weeks without forcing a flawed or convenient solution. Cognitive psychology shows this openness allows for more complex and accurate mental mapping of the world around them. The real-life consequence is an incredible ability to solve problems that others have already abandoned as impossible. They aren't looking for the fastest answer to save time. They are looking for the right one to ensure long-term success. By resisting the urge to close the case early, they capture vital details and connections that others overlook in their haste. This patience is a hallmark of high-level strategic thinking, separating the tactical thinkers from the true visionaries. They understand that a half-baked truth is often more dangerous than an admitted ignorance. 4. The fourth trait is a high level of what cognitive psychology calls metacognition. Simply put, this is the rare ability to think about your own thinking processes as they are happening. Psychology shows that sharp individuals act as neutral observers of their own mental pattern and logic loops. They don't just have a thought, they analyze why they are having that specific thought and where it originated. Research suggests this internal auditing allows them to catch cognitive biases before those biases can influence an important decision. They are constantly checking for mental shortcuts, heuristic errors, or emotional prejudices that might cloud their judgment. By monitoring their internal logic in real time, they can self-correct on the fly, adjusting their perspective as new data arrives. The real-life consequence is a remarkable degree of intellectual honesty and objectivity that is rare in the general public. They are willing to admit when their initial logic was flawed or incomplete, seeing it as a victory for truth rather than a personal defeat. This constant internal auditing makes their final conclusions far more reliable and robust than the average person's opinion. It's as if they have an internal editor who proofreads their thoughts before they are spoken or acted upon. This level of self-regulation is the ultimate hallmark of a brain operating at its highest possible frequency. 5. The fifth and final rare trait is a tendency toward selective social withdrawal. Research in evolutionary psychology, specifically the Savannah principle, suggests a unique correlation between intelligence and social needs. Interestingly, while most people report higher life satisfaction with more social interaction, highly intelligent people often report the opposite. Psychology shows that exceptionally sharp minds frequently find social gatherings to be cognitively draining rather than invigorating. This isn't necessarily due to social anxiety or a lack of social skills, but rather a prioritization of long-term cognitive objectives. They often find that the small talk and social rituals required in large groups offer very little in terms of intellectual stimulation. Instead, they prefer deep, one-on-one interactions or extended periods of solitude to process their thoughts and work on complex projects. In real life, this can make them seem aloof, cold, or even arrogant to those who value constant social validation. However, this withdrawal is a strategic preservation of their most valuable resource, their mental energy and focus. By limiting social noise, they create the necessary space for high-level creative and analytical breakthroughs to occur naturally. Their solitude is not a sign of loneliness, but a fertile ground for the complex ideas they are constantly cultivating. They understand that true sharpness is honed in the quiet moments of deep reflection, far away from the distractions of the crowd. While these traits offer immense advantages, having an exceptionally sharp mind also comes with its own unique psychological burdens. One of the most common issues is chronic overanalysis, where the brain's high processing speed turns inward and leads to analysis paralysis. Psychology shows that because they see so many variables and potential outcomes, making even simple choices can become exhausting. Additionally, individuals with high cognitive sharpness often struggle with a deep sense of social alienation from their peers. It can be difficult to find others who process information at the same speed or who share the same commitment to logical deconstruction. Research suggests this communication gap often leads to feelings of intense loneliness, even when they are in a room full of people. The sharp mind also tends to be hypercritical, not just of others, but especially of themselves, leading to high levels of stress. They are rarely satisfied with good enough, which can lead to burnout as they push their cognitive engine past its healthy limits. Recognizing these burdens is a vital part of maintaining mental health for those with high-level cognitive profiles. It is important to remember that a sharp tool requires careful maintenance to prevent it from becoming a danger to its user. Learning to turn off the analytical engine is just as important as knowing how to use it with precision. Accepting these challenges allows the sharp individual to navigate the world with greater empathy for themselves and others. While some aspects of mental sharpness are biological, psychology shows that you can deliberately cultivate a sharper cognitive edge. One of the most effective methods is through deliberate practice, specifically engaging with material that is just beyond your current level of understanding. Research suggests that pushing your brain to wrestle with complex, unfamiliar concepts strengthens the neural pathways associated with fluid intelligence. You can also practice active mindfulness, which involves monitoring your thoughts in real time to identify and discard common cognitive biases. Start by questioning your initial reactions to news or social events, asking yourself if your response is based on logic or emotional contagion. Cognitive psychology also recommends diversifying your information sources to prevent the development of intellectual blind spots and echo chambers. Building emotional granularity can be as simple as keeping a journal where you describe your daily feelings with extreme linguistic precision. The goal is not to become a machine, but to refine your mental tools so they serve you better in the pursuit of your own goals. Consistency is key. Small, daily efforts to challenge your thinking patterns lead to significant cognitive shifts over long periods of time. By adopting the habits of a sharp mind, you begin to rewire your brain for greater efficiency and much higher levels of awareness. Anyone can improve their mental clarity by making a conscious choice to prioritize truth over convenience and depth over speed. Your mind is a muscle that responds to the demands you place upon it, so choose to demand more of your own thinking every single day. In summary, an exceptionally sharp mind is defined by strategic non-conformity, emotional granularity, paradoxical curiosity, metacognitive awareness, and selective social withdrawal. These traits are not just intellectual markers, but survival tools that allow individuals to navigate the complexities of the modern world with precision. If you recognize these signs in yourself, remember that your mental edge is both a gift and a significant responsibility to manage well. The true purpose of having a sharp mind is not to achieve intellectual superiority or to look down on those who process information differently. Instead, it is to use your clarity to solve problems that matter, to provide insight where there is confusion, and to contribute something meaningful to the world. Sharpness without empathy is merely cold logic, but sharpness combined with purpose can be a powerful force for positive change. Take the time to appreciate the unique way your brain works, but also take the time to rest and reconnect with the world around you. Your cognitive potential is vast, and by understanding its mechanics, you can harness it to build a life of deep fulfillment and authentic achievement. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of the psychology behind the world's sharpest minds. If you found this insight valuable, consider how you can apply one of these traits to your own life starting today. Stay curious, stay analytical, and most importantly, stay true to your own cognitive path. We look forward to seeing the incredible things your sharp mind will uncover next.